Hi everybody, welcome back to the project. And by the project, I mean the Barn to Workshop. I actually feel pretty good about this. This is the most of what I had on the wall before is back on the wall. That's great. But I basically just took a whole bunch of the things that were bothering me and I made really quick racks and mounts and things like that to get them up on the wall. I made some stuff for the cords and the ropes and the ladder. And yeah, I think I'm pretty satisfied with it. Obviously, it'll all need to be cleaned up and make it look really pretty in the future, paint it, whatever it may need. And that's really good to see that there are things on the wall, though. For now, I'm just going to leave them unpainted and unfinished and unsanded so that I can get used to using them. And if there's something wrong with them, I can fix it without feeling like I spent a whole bunch of time painting it and making it pretty. I went ahead and put the cleats on the wall on the other section of the wall and doubled up on screws, made it really strong because this section of the wall, these are going to be where the lawn equipment gets housed. So lawn equipment wise, I have a lot of battery lawn equipment. During the pandemic, I worked at Lowe's, and while working there, I was buying any of the damaged out batteries that were made by Ego. Some of them are the new ones, some are the old ones, some of them had a red light, some of them didn't. I just bought a box of them, but I didn't have any of their tools. What I had was their little backup generator thing. And the only reason I had that is because we had a power outage. We didn't have water because the pump didn't have power, and I didn't have a gas generator. And so I bought that little battery backup unit that took these batteries. I was basically like a 3,000 watt generator, peak 3,000 obviously. And I thought, gosh, then I can use that because I have access to these batteries and I can use that to power a 120 volt pump. I ended up doing some extra plumbing and making it so that we have a backup pump that'll run off 120 volt because our normal pump in well is 220. Probably see me using Ryobi tools. I have a lot of Ryobi tools, but I also have a flex radial saw and a handful of other things like I've got a couple of their saws anyways. And the reason I have their saws is because like the Ego batteries, I bought a box of refurbed flex batteries before I even had their tools and realized that it was cheaper to buy the batteries and then buy the tool without the battery. Especially can find them on like eBay or a Facebook Marketplace. Anyhow, both of these battery types can be serviced by what I'm about to suggest. So I went online a couple months ago, back before I started thinking about doing this kind of wall, and I purchased from Amazon these clips that are meant for these Ego batteries. And I bought them because I wanted to see how they worked, but they were like 4 of these pieces of plastic for $15, which kind of seems like a lot to me right now. And all they do is they have a piece of like a slot in them that perfectly matches into the slot of the battery. And then they snap in place, which is cool and all, but then you have to kind of like have a good solid mount on the wall because they sit flush and you'd have to have room to kind of pull them out vertically and get them off that snap. So again, I'm going to use these. These are good, but these are expensive comparatively. So here's the deal. This 1/4 inch maple plywood that I have from doing a cabinet in our washing or a laundry room area, these pieces of plywood are exactly the right slot size. Like to the T, they literally are perfectly slotted in there. And if you have 2 of them, so like one's a little bit bigger than the other, just like that piece of plastic that I just had, and sand this up a little bit, but you can create that same kind of almost flush set. And I don't need it to be flush, so it's there, but it basically means it's not rattling around and it'll line up. And I can slot it in and out like this, and I can probably even like round out these tips so that they have, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs, in fact, I could probably taper this so that it wouldn't have to be even perfect lining it up. And it would like, it could go in at an angle like that and then pop in, which is good when you're just trying to like get it on the wall, right? So anyways, 2 of these pieces like that. Sorry, 2 of these pieces like that. And then a longer piece that can sit on top of this and fit right up that middle slot where the battery kind of indents will create a spot where I can see it kind of working like this, kind of stacking them all up there. And when you need it off, it slides up like that. And this mount would stay on the wall, and it would have a long enough tail that you could create the little break so that it wouldn't pop up off the cleat. And then it would just slot right back on. Of course, easier to do when you're not trying to hold it all together. Slot back on and be sitting right there all the way along the bottom. So anyways, I'm gonna make a few of those. And this is gonna be something I have to glue together. So that might not get done tonight, but it's coming. Now the reason I brought out the flex one is because the flex slot, where it slides in, matches that too. So I think what I'm gonna end up doing is finding all of the material like this that I have, and I have a whole panel of it right there. So I'm gonna find all the material like this that I have and create battery mounts for all of my batteries that are these slot kind of batteries. All right, it's quick and dirty, but here's the deal. Back when this wall was not built out the way that it is right now, I had all of these hooks and stuff on the wall, and they were all these kind of like rubber coated gray plastic and metal hooks. It's a little bit like I'd have to create a mount that goes like at a 40, like at a slight angle up. Like it could go to there basically. So like a slight angle up and then tapered out. And then the bracket would be like in this shape. So then this would work. Or I could do it with the bracket facing out. So like that's pretty far out. That's a little bit closer. I mean, clearly I could run it like this. That might be smarter. Can I use these and make it practical? That's just kind of jank. I had them like this, but then they hang weird. If I hang them like this, with their head up and the shaft down, then if I ever connect anything to the shaft and don't want to take it off, I could still hang them. So I need to come up with a solution that hangs this clip or this section is the clip. I can bend these hooks to make them a little bit tighter here, but I think the obvious answer here is to make them so they're in here. So that's the clip. So we need to make something that goes, that the plane of the wall is here. If the plane of the wall is here, then the piece needs to go up, straight, over to the plane of the wall. So I need to create a shape for that. All right, hot diggity dog, here we go. So I have the unit. If I have a piece of cardboard, I have a piece of cutoff from a 2x6 material. I don't know how detailed this is gonna be, but I'm gonna draw in a few points that I can work off of. So I'm just sort of one-eyeing it because that defeats the, parallax, your eyes being, the binocular vision has a tendency to create two separate lines if you're trying to line something up. So if you use just one eye and you line up with, like, for example, the contour edge, the straight edge of this, which this is a little bit curved, but I'm just using the middle edge and kind of line it up, you can create a close enough point to create like lines that will line up. If none of that makes sense to you, try it, and then it will make sense. You go as far down as that. Then if I did that, it'd hit this plastic button. So somewhere in there maybe. Okay, I'm making a lot of assumptions here because this is, again, not something I'm too terribly worried about, but I don't know where my straight edge went, so I'll use this. Now this is just a general, like, kind of template. In fact, I'll draw on here where the hook is gonna be so you can kind of get a vibe for it. Okay, so the wall will be here with the clip attachment on the back end of whatever this piece looks like. And then this will be the hook. The hook will thread in, and this will match that contour of the back where the battery compartment should be. In fact, I don't know if I can do this with the battery on. That'd be worth looking into. Hang on. I mean, if I extend this out a ways on the backer here, like with a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch plywood or something like that on the back, then that works. We're going to cut one of these just to see if it works. But I think now looking at that, I need a straight edge. I thought I had one out here. I put it away. Let's extend that out a little bit further. And that'll give me the room that I need. These angles are kind of imprecise just by the nature of the beast here. I think I'm going to cut it short and then just put a block on the bottom edge. But I'll make it look something kind of neat. I mean, it's all taken up quite a lot of material already. Okay. Yeah. Let me cut this out and see what it looks like on the 2x6 here. But as templates go, it's not terrible. Okay. It's going to go on the wall like this, roughly. Kind of looks funny. Let's see. All right, hang on. Can't be that easy. We're gonna slide off. We're gonna have to make sure it stays perfectly level to the wall, otherwise it will, but that's pretty good. I mean, you gotta be clear, that's not, what exactly I had in mind, but I mean, could probably pinch these a little bit tighter and that would keep it from getting all like sliding out to the sides a little bit there. Let's see here. Let's put it over here, I guess. All right, well, it hangs on the wall. It's got a decent amount of like meat to it. Ta-da! It works. Actually, works pretty well. I like that. It's good. Cool. All right, here we go. I'm sure somebody's gonna watch this and be like, "What are you doing?" And now I have an arrow hook. It does work. It slots right in, nice and tight. This is the one I want to practice on because it's most likely the one of both are the tool sets that I will be using more in the summer. Okay, so holds it off the wall a little bit, like I guess it was doing that before. No, because the hook got tightened, that's why. Hold it off the wall. If you accidentally lift up, it kind of comes loose a little bit because I don't have anything to like keep it perfectly straight, but at least it doesn't jump off the wall anymore. So that's about the tightness I can go with. But yeah, if you just slide it straight off, it'd be great. Now you can fix that issue of the cleats popping off the wall by sticking a piece of like material up underneath, as long as you've got that lower brace or that lower bracket. So effectively, in this instance, if I wanted this to feel permanent without actually being permanent, once it was on the wall, I'd have a piece that I could jam in right underneath here that would keep it from moving up and down. Okay, so this is really basic and really the prototype. I want to be absolutely 100% clear on that. That said, though, it does work, and I am going to make at least 2 of them in a much better form. The next one that we'll need to mount is my snow shovel. And it has a hook on the back for mounting, but whoever designed that didn't think about any reality. I think they designed it with the understanding that the heavy part, i.e. the battery, would be facing down, but I don't really mount them with their batteries into, I guess maybe I should. Hang on, let me see if that would work. Hang on. I have been just stacking it against the wall, essentially leaning it against the wall like this for the battery, you know, like that's how it's been stored. But that's not great. So they anticipated it being stored like something like this, hanging off the wall. I don't know if I like that look though. The bracket here has a great little slot right up underneath here where the fan inlet is. A little piece of wood over here that I might use as an example. It can go in like this. Then it could sit like that on the wall. I'd have to make sure that the piece that was holding it up was strong enough. Like a piece of plywood is a good idea, but I'd have to have like multiple pieces to create this form in order to kind of swoop it down, that keeping in mind that 45 that we used before as an example. But if I had it kind of sit like this, that would work. And then the battery could stay in place. And I really dislike battery or tool mounts that require me to lift up first. Not because there's anything wrong with that. It's just that extra motion of lifting up means that when I go to put it back in place, I've got to hunt around to find where it goes to slot it back down. If it goes in straight, then your natural activity, your body's natural activity is to go like that rather than to go like this. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna make a mount that goes like this and fits that form factor. Now, before I cut that other piece as a support, let's make sure 35 degrees was the right angle. Look how thick that grain is. That's super hefty. I like that piece of wood. That's crazy. Okay. All right, so let's see if I've been lucky on this design. It's a little bit thick. So left to right, like tapering it left to right might be the only way to do that. But the question wasn't that. The question was I right about the angle? And all right, so 35 degree angle, that's the pitch there. That's nice to see that. I'm not totally crazy. I just act crazy sometimes. Kind of see the roundingness on it there. With that in mind, let's see how it did. Keep in mind, the goal here was to have it slot all the way over and into that space. And there it did just fine. Perfect. And I cross my fingers that the mark is there because I can't see it. And there we have it. That is the piece. I'll put a brace back here, something I can clamp into. So we'll just cut it right off there. That smells like old barnwood. Moment of truth. I'm gonna go with it right about here, I guess. Well, it seems nice and strong. Come up with a universal key size. That'll do the trick. Where's our leaf blower? Here it is. Or should I say snowblower? All right, here we go. There you are. That's not too bad at all. That is how it goes around here. I have a giant mess, which I am actually not going to clean up right now because I am going to be out here tomorrow morning. I'll be out here really early tomorrow morning. And when I came back out, I took that template and I assembled a better version of it. And this will need obviously to be cleaned up and painted and whatnot in the future. But for now, as I kind of get used to it, I made a universal size. It's about 6.5 inches or 6 3/4 inches long. And it is long enough to get the mount on the wall and then make a universal key size, which I have yet to cut. But anyhow, so that goes up there on the wall with the battery. This is a 7.5, I think. So this one can go right up here on the wall. Mounts in nice and tight. I had only one of those command strip clasps here, so I went ahead and used it for the one thing that was like impossible to mount any other way, which was the pole saw. If I mount this the other way around, like if I mount it like this, which would seem reasonable because you'd have like a clip here, then all the oil comes out and drips on the floor. So mounting it like this, if oil comes out, it goes into the blade cover. And it's okay if the blade gets oiled. That's kind of the point. So anyhow, this can go right up in here between the two. And this little bracket mount is pretty floppy, but it's okay because it doesn't need to hold a lot of like lateral weight. The big one up there on top is a broom that I forgot I had. I bought a lot of this stuff on eBay when it was like 60 bucks. And so this is a broom that I can use for a couple different things. One, for raking or cleaning up acorns in the yard. I've used it for that a couple times, but mostly it's meant for cleaning off driveways or hard surfaces. This is my universal key size. I'm gonna have to cut a few of these, but I used 2 of the metal screw-in, I guess they're meant for like brooms or shovels or something. I squeezed them to tighten up that gap they had there and made these mounts that match the depth and shape of the units that are mounting to them. I used 2 so that the bar on the bottom won't swing left or right, just in case this gets bunked or something. This is pretty heavy. It's easily like 15, 20 pounds. Like that, and actually, it's really important that that one be keyed in. That one gets locked in place because it's kind of top heavy. I really didn't want to do mounts like this for any of these. I wanted to do all of these command strip kind of things against the wall at the bottom, but the command strip things are like 10 bucks a piece. It's crazy. Anyhow, so this is a multi-head with the trimmer attachment on it. That's how it usually gets used. This one's a multi-head with the snow shovel attachment on it, which it's seasonal. Normally during the summer, I've got the rototiller attachment on this one for weeding and stuff, but that'll mount right there. And that's the widest that component will ever be. So if we need to switch it around, it'll be no problem. I went ahead and mounted the chainsaws in kind of a cheaty sort of way. I don't use them very often. I mean, I use them occasionally, but for cutting wood and stuff. I had one of those screws, I think it's meant for like ladders, but screw-in brackets that I screwed in at a 45-degree angle, and then I bent down to make it into a chainsaw-sized hanger, and then just mounted it to a piece of 2x4 with the cleat pieces and whatnot on it. And so that's pretty strong, and that'll hold this easily. And batteries, I went ahead and used I haven't put a brake on them, so whatever, but I went ahead and used the official battery mount that I had purchased. I think I didn't realize how many I had purchased. I think I have 8, and that should be enough for what I would actually reasonably be able to use in here anyways. So I may not end up needing to make my own style, but clips on just like that. Same with that one. The dual charger here is going to be, I hope it's accessible. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff there, but I've got a full bracket. It's just a board with the bracket components across the back, and that allows these battery battery mounts to where they have those like screw holes on the back. Yeah, I'll do a little bit of playing around with these to make sure it works the way I want before I finalize everything. I would like to have the push lawnmower pushed in differently so that it's like face out so you can see what it is. But the way that it sits on the ground is it tilts towards that side. And so if I do that, then it's sticking out into traffic or into the parking area. So got to put it back to the wall like it was. And that at least will be in line with everything else. And that's about it. I mean, realistically, there are many other things I will be putting on this wall. And as time goes on, I'll be getting into making a door over there and like pulling stuff off the other side of the building, which is all, you know, currently the workshop side, and doing the same thing over there as I did here, though that won't be happening immediately. And then taking short break from this workshop stuff to go do some stuff on the house. Okay, so thank you for following along. Again, my name is John Decker. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and really helps me feel like there's a community that wants to see stuff like this progress. I have to do it one way or another, so I love sharing it with you guys, and I loved hearing feedback. And yeah, just let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next, what are we calling these? Barn to workshop projects? I was calling them weekend projects with John, but this has turned into every day of the week project with John Decker. See you next time.